I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you.
Hey, Ron, can you hear us? Because I saw he was kind of, no, you can't.
We can't hear you.
You might be muted.
I was muted. Sorry, but I can hear you fine.
We can hear you now, though you're a little quiet. Can that be boosted at all, Kyle? We'll just have you speak clearly into your computer there, I guess.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Got it? We'll begin the first and only item of business, Tony Hines, Public Works Facility Fleet Manager. The floor is yours.
Morning, Tony Hines, Public Works Manager. So item A, we're looking at the sprinkler system for the Loma Linda ballpark. We got 3 quotes for them. We've gone back and gotten them separated into the sprinkler system away from the sod and the seed. So right now we're just looking at the sprinkler system. So we have 3 quotes from Peterson Landscaping at $27,500. The breakdown sheet that I have for this was his first quote at $20,500. When we asked him to break it down, he came back with a higher number at $27,500. He said that was due to the controller and stuff that he had on the first one. He updated it to the second one, so it would be $27,500.
Okay.
Coppa Landscaping was at $318 for the total thing. We did not get a breakdown from them. And then Curtis Landscaping, we broke down on his itemized sheet at $87,400. So answer any questions if you have any.
And that 87.4 on Curtis Landscaping was just for the
It includes
sprinkler breakdown.
for the sprinklers, which includes the labor to put it in, the sprinkler parts, the pump, and wiring the pump.
I have a question, Tony. So that 87, you broke it out of the 2 proposals that he submitted, one for sod and one for seed?
Correct.
So you broke it out of there?
Yes.
And came up with the 87? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And that also includes rework the tanks.
No.
Okay, no.
We
No.
tried to separate that out because Curtis also added some additional features we did not ask about, like plumbing for other vegetation and turning the tanks around and so forth. So we did our best to separate apples to apples.
Correct.
And with what you just said, Derek, you said plumbing for irrigation to the existing trees and stuff. Is that what you're talking about?
No, he added 40 trees into the quote.
Oh, I saw that and I really liked that.
Yeah.
Plant seeds.
Well, I could live with a few, with less than 40, but that's pretty nice.
Ron,
I think that is step 2 is one, we focus on the irrigation system, but then but maybe we look at, possibly planting some trees around the outside and do that on a separate note, maybe.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions, concerns?
in full transparency, and maybe Tony, you're going to address this. We had some concerns about both Curtis and Peterson in terms of their estimation of the square footage that need to be irrigated. We don't think it's as high as 65, nor do we think it's as low as 3250. So we broke it down on a per square foot basis. Peterson's bid is at 125. Curtison's is at 140. That's the cost per installation. In other words, we took their price, divided it by their estimate of square footage. Does that make sense?
Per square foot.
Per square foot. So the Curtis Landscaping came out to $1.40 per square foot installed, and the Peterson was $1.20. Or no, that was 85 cents
versus 115, I think.
Correct. So if you do it on a per square foot basis, Peterson comes in at around 85 cents.
for the,
sprinkler installation.
and that's what we're here for today is the sprinkler.
This-
Correct, yes. And I just talked to Mr. Peterson on the phone, had him explain why the 32,500 came out so low. He explained that when he plugs it into his thing and the area that I told him that we were just gonna have the grass in, that's what his thing came out to on his computer, was 32,500 square feet. 65,000 or 70,000 square feet is when you go online and you look at the whole ball field. The whole ball field comes in at 70,000.
Oh, the infield and all,
Correct.
yeah.
That's
okay.
like 1/4 of a circle
Yeah,
with grass everywhere.
right.
Yeah, so he's got it down to that number. His quote is lower because he did it as a practice field. He didn't go all out on top of the line controllers, stuff like that. Hunter that he has quoted is still a good quality sprinkler product. So I wouldn't have a whole lot of hesitation on going with Peterson if you want a suggestion.
Okay. So let me get something straight here. So Peterson came in at 85 cents and Curtis came in at $1.40.
Let's do our
Okay.
math and make certain.
Is that, is that, is that right?
That's
85 cents per square foot.
125
125
for
for Curtis.
Oh, 125.
yeah, that was my mistake.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Let's-
125 for Curtis and still 85 for Peterson?
I was
Okay.
talking
Okay,
sod cost. I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was wrong. So, yeah, Peterson comes in at a hair under 85 cents
85 cents.
and Curtis comes in at 125 for the sprinkler system.
And with
Okay.
our concerns with Peterson being so low, I had asked him for some references. So I had Brianna in our office call references out. He gave us 4 or 5. The only one that answered the phone was Craig Bloomfield from Velocity Builders. Says they have Peterson on all their jobs. They keep him regular working and stuff. And that's homes that Velocity builds, but he still says he's happy with his work and very, very happy with it.
okay.
If
And
that,
just a quick question. Didn't you say that that he came out there and he was really passionate about ball fields and
yeah,
this?
he got to start on ball fields.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a local source that is passionate, and we can hopefully would be a good provider for us. And they're the lowest. I mean, don't have much to argue with that.
Yeah, he came down here in 2021, I believe. And started his landscaping business, but he said he started in the valley with ball fields.
And I totally agree with the comments and everything, but the only concern I have is what you mentioned, Tony, that his bid is a lot lower possibly because of the quality of the material that he's using has something to do with it. And
Right.
okay, more or less, but I hadn't heard of Peterson Landscaping, but that doesn't mean anything, but I have heard of Curtis Landscaping, and anything that I've heard coming from what he's done, folks are really pleased, and I've personally seen jobs that he's done and everything, and I'm not saying that I'm kind of leaning to Curtis, but I see the dollars that we have into this. I don't know. Anybody have anything else to say about that?
Both, I don't know where Koppel comes from, but I know Curtis and Peterson. I've known of both of them. I haven't heard negative on either. So
I haven't heard anything negative from Curtis either. Does great work. Yeah, I think either one would be great. And as a note, if you would multiply the 125 that Curtis does to the 32,500 square feet, you're at 40,625. I don't know if that would be part of his quote or would do it at that, but to get the same area, yeah, your cost would be about.
But basically, you're looking at a per square foot cost. That's the even, that's how you level the bids and turn on cost.
And versus Peterson at the 85 cents, what's that total come out to?
27,500.
27?
27.5 on the proposal.
Oh, that's right. That you raised it 7 grand. Yeah, that's right. So it's we got a difference of 13 grand. Wow.
That's 13 grand we could spend on trees.
Careful how you answer that, Dave.
No, I totally agree. We just gotta get our folks trained and everything, and hopefully with the material that Peterson is using versus what Curtis is using, we're good.
Was there a comment you made to me earlier today, something about Peterson? Did his quote include training, or was that with his sod bid?
It was with sod bid.
Okay.
Yeah, he would show us how to use the system and oversee the growth of the sod. And I'm sure Curtis would probably do the same thing.
Okay.
But we're not talking about that right now, right?
No, I just want to make sure what
Oh,
Peterson's comment pertained to.
Yeah.
I do think when that step comes, it is worth exploring. To have him help us consult on the sod,
Mhm.
because to get that seated, to get that set correctly is a big deal.
One last question coming from me now. What is the manufacturer of the material that he's using?
Hunter.
Peterson is Hunter.
Hunter
Yeah.
and Curtis?
Curtis, I believe, will use Rainbird, but he didn't list that out. I know he sells that in his stores.
He didn't list the
Couple.
brand name though.
And Koppel was Toro.
And the debate can go on indefinitely.
I've never heard of
Which
Hunter,
one's
but-
better?
Right.
Okay. All right, well, is there any other questions or any other concerns?
No, none for me.
Well, I entertain for motion.
Well, I move that we approve of the vendor to install the irrigation system at the Loma Linda Park ball field to Peterson. Peterson Landscaping LLC in an amount not to exceed. Do we want a little gap there of 30,000, or do you want me to do it at 27.5?
I would recommend a little bit of a gap.
So not to exceed $30,000.
I second that motion.
Okay, motion has been made in second. All in favor signify by saying, oh, is there any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Mr. Peterson.
The
Is it
second
done
one we
yet?
wanted to discuss with you is we bifurcated this, we could get started on the sprinkler and get it going. The other area we need to discuss and get some direction from the board is there's multiple ways to put grass on a field. You could seed it with bags of grass. You could hydro seed it. You could turf, lay down turf, sod on it. And so the question then, what we'd like some direction is, do you have a preference on which direction we go? And there's some interplay with our purchasing policy. So to go with a grass, if we just plant grass with bags of grass, those are likely to come in under $100,000. The sod, probably it depends. Peterson's quote for sod was around 45,000 in the neighborhood. So if we lay down sod, if it may be more expensive, we may end up crossing the $100,000 threshold for sod. But if we want to go sod, we will look at the likely price and then either come back with quotes. You do have quotes from Peterson right now for sod, And we did some research. His quote is not that far below market. And so, like I say, we didn't know if you wanted to go grass, which would be much cheaper. It takes a while to get the stand up. There can be more risk with grass. Sod can have its risk as well. If you know, you can lose sod as well as you can lose grass. Hydro seed is something I've heard more about than I know anything about. And we have not got any quotes for hydro seeding. So we understand that when you have a sprinkler system, if you're laying sod, your sprinkler head's going to be up about an inch and a half. So you lay the sod even with the sprinkler heads. If you put grass in, you put those down a little bit closer to ground level and have the grass grow around it. We would expect the heads to be on what they call swivels so they can be adjusted. But do you have preference on which direction you'd like us to go?
There is 2 quotes. So Curtis has seed and sod as well.
Right.
Peterson has seed and sod.
Correct.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Ron.
Just that I think we wanted sod it. I think this field, I think we want instant gratification, and I think that for the health of the field and for its use and for the installation of we're going forward with the installation of the sprinkler system, my preference would be to sod it. I would like to have a better understanding, or us to understand, how many square feet of sod that we want for that field, and spell that out, and then get requotes based on our actual layout of the square feet. And I'm not sure if that's something that the county engineer of Reed could help us with, or whatever, to map that out, or us draw lines where we want the sod to be, and get that exact square footage, and then we go back out for a quick bid with those details, and then we make a decision based on that.
My exact words.
I would like to go with sod. From my experience, I would like to specify the type of sod you're going with too. There's a very large difference between a Tifway type sod, or a mid-iron, or a bob sod from Bank One Ballpark back in the old days. From my experience, the mid-iron is probably your best for this area, and that's just my opinion. You can mow that with a conventional mower. It mows cleaner and you can mow it shorter. The Tifway is very difficult, very temperamental, the cooler weather. So I would like to see a type of sod when you're bidding out, so that they're all bidding the same sod. They come in with a Tifway, it's much cheaper, but it's much harder to maintain. I would, if someone's bidding a Tifway in their proposal, if someone's bidding a mid-iron, then that's going to affect your cost too, of the expense of that.
Maintenance.
The expense and the maintenance.
I know we looked online just for the meeting, and at least one supplier, a direct supplier, mid-iron and Tifway 419 are the same price.
Okay.
But they did note the difference in maintenance and hardiness, if you will.
And your Tifway is very difficult to get the actual roots to take hold. So your mid-iron, and from what I used to do with it, is much easier to put in.
They didn't specify what kind of sod.
Curtis did a Tifway.
Tifway
Oh,
419.
Tifway. Oh, I see that. Okay.
So you may want to.
I think spell that out.
Got a specific type mower,
Right.
to do that, which I don't think we want out here in this
No.
area with all the dust and rocks and everything.
So
Just some thoughts.
the direction you've given us allows us to tell Peterson, the sprinkler contractor, to raise those heads to account for sod.
Yes.
So we won't have to worry about that. And then we'll go out, we'll get an exact square footage.
Yep.
We'll also specify, and it won't be very hard for them to say mid-iron will cost you this, and TIF whatever. There's several varieties will cost you that. And I think we can do some online research to find out what the pros and cons of maintenance costs are.
And I think sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, I would say, obviously, if we were planting, you know, something that was to be mowed down like a golf green, that's very intensive, but this is a place for kids to go practice
We
with their
want more
team.
multi-purpose.
Correct.
And I think if it's Peterson has been doing this sod, it might be easy to ask that question to say, hey, what works? You know, this is what we're doing. It's practice field. You know, had done it in the valley. You know, it's kind of, you know, a little different temperature wise, but not much. What works? What stands up? You know, what is easy to maintain, and then let's go forward with that. Because I'm no sod expert. Will has impressed me with his knowledge of sod. Just in this last few minutes, but I'm no sod expert.
I just know there's a difference in it. If we put the wrong sod in, it's gonna be a nightmare on you for years to come.
Yeah.
I have a comment, and because I didn't go through this with a fine tooth, I mean, really, really close, but is there any guarantee, any warranty guarantee on the installation of the irrigation and I mean, does anything come like that with it when someone
Curtis-
does that?
Curtis was the only one that mentioned it, and he had a 2-year warranty.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
And this is purely anecdotal, but my experience with sod and grass is it's guaranteed until it's not.
Until a sprinkler head goes dead and it
Yeah,
kills the grass.
till you don't get the sprinkler head jams or something, and then you gotta nurse it back to health.
Okay. So that fell in the situation where you would just call him and he'd come and take care of the problem that was,
I believe so, yeah.
okay.
That's all gonna be contingent upon us taking care of it properly.
Well, that's true. That's true. That's why we need to train our folks.
And in the long run, it will be over the course of the life of this field, it will be a Greeley County maintenance. So we need to both have the training expertise and diligence to stay on top of it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, do you need more direction?
Did we answer your question?
I said, we need square footage and we need the type, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've got enough, and are you comfortable waiting till the 22nd? Because I don't know if we can pull this together by next Tuesday.
Ooh, no.
Okay, so the 22nd would be, you know, our next meeting. I would be highly surprised if they're ready to lay sod before the 22nd.
So would I.
So
And I think, if I could interrupt, I think one more thing for this scope of work that we're going to send out, obviously the square footage, the type of sod that we were looking for, obviously the installation, but also when they would be able to do that, you know, because that might be a deciding factor.
yeah, we want to hit this window when it's good to get grass growing.
Yeah. Because if Curtis or somebody else wasn't able to do it for 3 or 4 months, well, then that might be a deciding factor that we would go with somebody else.
Good point.
Yeah, because that's very possible. A
Yeah.
lot of things going on right now with homes going up in the area and Graham County and everything, and they might be pretty locked up. So yeah, that's a good point, Ron.
Okay, I think we've got direction.
Do we want to get a quote for artificial turf?
What was that, Ron?
Do we want to get a quote for artificial turf just to knock our socks off, or?
Not if we have sprinklers already.
Right, I guess so. But you got to keep it wet, you know, keep it cool.
It would be guaranteed success if it was artificial turf.
Right.
All right, so do you have all the direction you need, Derek and Tony?
Yes.
Believe we're good.
Yeah.
All right, so Peterson it is on the irrigation and for now, so we'll move on. Okay,
And ask, I'm sorry, Tony, just ask Peterson, you know, what kind of warranty comes with it. He may not have outlined it in there, but if he gives you a verbal, you know, gives you something verbally, that he'll cover it for a year or whatever, great. I think that's great and it'll make us feel better.
Okay.
all right, anything else before we wrap up here?
Nope.
Nothing else?
Nope.
Okay, well, I think we covered all. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Everyone for following up on that. I feel much better having all of them.
You guys have a great day.